So hello everyone, today I'm joined by Ditlev in Denmark and he is pursuing an internship at the European Space Agency. So hi Ditlev,
Hi.
can you tell us a bit about you and what work it is that you're doing?
Yes, I would be happy to. So obviously my name is Ditlev. I live in Copenhagen, and I'm studying astrophysics and currently doing an internship at the European Space Astronomy Center in Madrid. It's very, very interesting, and it's based about or it's concerning galaxy clusters, which might be a difficult concept to grasp at first, but essentially it's just touching upon collections of galaxies in the night sky and trying to figure out how we can assign galaxies to different clusters or to different groups, and how we can estimate the mass of these clusters.
Oh wow, that sounds really interesting.
It is really interesting.
Good. So what does this involve on a day-to-day basis? What kind of things do you do?
Yeah, so it's a bit, I would say, different, because the mission in itself hasn't actually started yet. So we don't have any data. We haven't launched the telescope yet, so we can't actually look at galaxies yet. But what we're trying to do now, right now, is we're trying to create some programs that can take an image of the night sky and then basically select where are the groups of galaxies and which galaxies fit within different groups. So from a simple program, just feed it one image and it can say, oh, we have a galaxy group right there, and we have a cluster right there, and these are the members. And from this data, then it can figure out, okay, what is the mass of this cluster? So because we don't have any data yet, we're trying to create these programs. So what I'm doing is I'm testing some of these programs that have been made, and then trying to figure out how well they perform on some mock data, on some simulated data.
Oh wow, okay, that's fascinating. So you're trying a new tool, an instrument to measure things, and you can use stuff that's already known. So what inspired you to pursue astrophysics? Do you remember how old you were, and whether there was any individuals that influenced you?
I guess I've always had a passion for physics. I've always liked physics and maths, but there was one point where I really knew, okay, now, or really, it occurred to me that, okay, I wanna work with physics. And that was actually in high school. At the end of high school, we had a trip, the whole class, where we went to Oxford, and we visited the Joint European Torus. So basically, an fusion reactor.
Oh yeah.
So it's a project where you have a lot of different physicists working on creating something that would benefit all of humanity, I guess. And what really struck me as interesting was the range of physicists on the project, the range of applications, the range of skills you needed to actually work in physics. And I guess just the day-to-day job that these people had was very, very different from what I envisioned in the first place.
Is there anything in particular that you remember that stood out?
I remember on this tour talking about how to measure the temperature of the plasma inside the fusion reactor. So basically, to make fusion happen, you have to heat this material up to like 100 million degrees. So you cannot simply stick a thermometer in there and then measure the temperature, because it would melt. So I remember talking to a physicist who was an expert in redshift and Doppler shifts and all these kind of ways that that you get like spectra and how they change with gas that is moving. And he used that branch of physics, which is also related to astrophysics, to measure the temperature of the gas. And I was just blown away by the application and how it worked. And I guess, yeah, that really surprised me.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, and it shows how science is it involves creativity as well, and some imagination of, like you said, you can't just throw a thermometer in there, which is what you do to measure anything else. You have to think of other ways and think outside the box almost.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
exactly.
a really good example. And so similar, it relates to my next question, which was going to be what challenges did you encounter on the way, and how did you overcome that?
I think the main challenge that I sometimes have to overcome is the fact that when you're actually working with data, there's kind of a disconnect between doing work and getting like the gratification of seeing it being completed. Like, it's not like if you go clean your room, then you clean it and then it's nice, and then you're happy because you see a change, right? When you work with data, it might be a long process. And for a lot of the time, you will be doing a lot of work without seeing actually anything positive come out of it. Yeah. So, for example, for the project about black holes, I did the data analysis for that project, I think 3 or 4 times, simply because when I did it the first time, I did something wrong. And the second time, oh, I didn't think about this. Okay, I will have to do it again. And then, you keep working and nothing actually comes out. So you feel sort of lost because you don't get that positive gratification that you get, for example, from cleaning a room or doing the dishes or something like that. But eventually, when you hit that mark where, okay, now you got all the data, now you can begin to analyze it, you can begin to do statistics, and you can begin to view your results. That's such an amazing feeling. Yeah. So it's quite a challenge that for a while you will feel kind of lost, that nothing actually progresses, but you just got to reach that point where everything turns, and then it's amazing.
Yeah, you just got to be patient, and it's worth it in the end. So I'm wondering if you see any important character traits of yourself and people that you work with. So what do you think is an important characteristic that you need to pursue?
I think a lot of people are very curious.
Curious, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're very curious. I don't know if it's important to be curious, but I think it's a good thing to be, because that sort of gives you the drive to see what's behind the next peak, right? Okay, I might not have something right now. I might be looking at a couple months from actually having some applications of what I'm doing right now. But I'm so curious to see what conclusions I can draw from this work that I'm doing right now. I'm so curious to see if everything matches, and I'm so curious about learning more. So I think it's something that all of the scientists also that I've worked with have. They might not be experts in exactly the thing that we're doing or they're guiding me through, but they're really curious to know more also, and they're really curious to participate and to help each other. I might work with some program that is written by astrophysicists that have nothing to do with the project that I'm actually doing, but I'm using their program, and then I can reach out to them because sometimes I don't exactly understand how they work. And they will just get back to me, and they will be so happy to answer, and they will be so curious about the work that I'm doing, and they will be so interested in seeing all of the applications of their work also. So I guess a lot of the people are very curious. And other than that, I think you just gotta have a passion for maths and physics in general, right?
No, I think curious is a really good word, and it's kind of said, don't be afraid to ask questions. Often, and even the really big questions, and even if they feel silly and we may not have the answers to them, but as soon as you start asking these questions, people are going to try and find ways to answer them. So
exactly. I had this astrophysics class in university also on my bachelor's. That was sort of, we were all just sitting in this room, and then having a lecture done by the scientists or the lecturer, and it was just such a nice atmosphere in the room, because everyone was asking questions all the time. And it was very driven by the students that all wanted to know more. So we read something at home, we got to some lectures, and then everyone was just asking questions and discussing astrophysics, and everyone just wanted to know more. So the whole curiosity was very, very clear in this room, that these people just wanted to know more, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of questions being asked, some of them rather silly, but none of them dumb, right?
Yeah.
We all just wanted to know more and understand. And whenever someone asked a question, everyone knew that there would be at least a couple others in the classroom that would have the same question.
Yeah.
Even though it was silly, even though it was weird, and then everyone sort of like grew together and became smarter.
Yeah, that's great. And I guess once one question's answered, that makes you think of another one, and it just keeps going, doesn't it? So is there any advice that you might offer to perhaps a student at school now that's maybe considering pursuing a career in astrophysics? Is it that don't be afraid to ask a silly question, what you think, or?
I guess obviously, yeah, don't be afraid to ask silly questions, but also don't be afraid to just try your hand at something. Astrophysics is a very, very broad subject in itself, and there's a lot of ways you can go. And you can do extragalactic physics, you can do cosmology, and you can focus about stars, you can focus on gas, and you can focus on dust, and there's so many applications, and that's just maybe only in the optical domain. Then we also have like the X-ray domain and the infrared domain, and so much more. So try your hand at some different things. Like just okay, try to work with black holes, try to work with galaxies, try to work on these different things, and try to work on how to get to Mars. That's just some of my examples, but I've tried my hand at a lot of different things, and I still don't know exactly where I want to go, or where I want to be, or where I want to end up. But throughout this process, I've sort of narrowed it down to figure out, okay, where I have a more clear image these days on exactly where I want to end up. And it led me to also send out this application for an internship at ESA.
Yeah.
Which I might not have done otherwise, but I was just, here was another part of astrophysics that I hadn't actually tried my hands on. Why not give it a shot also? And here I am, I'm working on it, and I think it's great. So I think in general, just try your hands at these things.
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you have any role models. Is there anyone that you kind of, even not necessarily work-wise, just someone you kind of look up to in general life or in work, or?
In life and in work, I don't know. I've never thought about having a role model per se. I guess the only one that's actually given me some solid advice when it's come to my career has been my mom, probably.
Oh, okay.
My mom is an engineer also, but for her it was a bit different. She didn't actually end up exactly where she wanted to be because of certain circumstances. So her primary advice and primary drive for me has always been, do whatever makes you happy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If it makes you happy, try your hand at it, give it a shot. And if it's wrong, all right, it's wrong, try again. It doesn't matter. Just keep going. And that's sort of, I guess that's the advice that landed me in astrophysics, because I knew I wanted to work with space. I knew writing this project titled Going to Mars was interesting, but I didn't know if I wanted, to dedicate my life to that. But she told me, okay, once again, if it makes you happy, try it out. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
That's good. And as you say, there's so many, even within astrophysics, there's so many different career paths and focus specialties. So the chances, even if there's something that you really enjoy and it doesn't seem like there's a career out of it, the chances are there probably is. So it's just, like you said, try your hand, and you never know what might happen. That's great.
Exactly.
So I've asked you a lot about kind of your work and your internship and how you got to where you are. And I'm wondering if you have any other hobbies or interests that you do when you're not looking out into the night sky. Is there anything else that you like to do?
I guess it's been difficult these days, right, with COVID-19. So I've been kind of I haven't had any of my hobbies that I could enjoy. But one thing that I obviously I'm a big nerd. But one thing I enjoy a lot is I read a lot of sci-fi.
Oh yes.
I love reading, and I've always loved reading. And you know, I was the kind of person to trick my parents by reading during the night. Right? They said, "Go to bed." I was like, "Nah, all right, I'm in bed." So I always enjoyed reading, and I still find a lot of pleasure in that. So I guess still much of my time is being spent on that, and also. I obviously found a passion for reading science fiction, and especially a genre called hard science fiction, which really focus on like physics-based truths. And other than that, I've played a lot of board games lately.
Yeah,
A lot
I
of
think
board
we've all
games.
played a lot of board games in this time.
But I like it. I'm a sore loser and I'm a sore winner. So yeah, it's been great. Just during these days, keeping a small social circle, and then playing board games has been a sanity check for me, I guess.
Yes, definitely. Oh, well, that's great. Oh, that was brilliant. And you've answered all my questions fantastically. So, is there anything else that you wanted to share that perhaps I've not touched upon, or any final words?
I guess do whatever makes you happy, right? I think that's still the best thing. That's the best advice I've ever gotten, and I think that applies to everyone. And if you're thinking about the universe and space and astrophysics, and if you want to try your hand in it, and if you think it's interesting, give it a shot. If it makes you happy, keep doing it. If it doesn't, okay, you can try some other path. But that's always the most important thing. Do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, just go for it. That's great. Oh, well, thank you so much, Ditlev. That was fantastic. And I know all our viewers are going to be really excited to watch this and kind of learn about your experiences, and maybe some even follow in your footsteps.
I hope so.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So I'll say goodbye now. Thank you again.